I'm here with Comrade Net once again from the Bundes movement, and we want to talk about something that has been going on in Marxist circles that is highly something that's a little bit disconcerting, something that's not right, something that's causing problems. One of those problems. Now I've previously done these discussions about the La Brea consolidation movement. Now somebody who's highly connected to them seems to be doing a bit of sabotage work in the Marxist community. Now he hasn't done anything to me personally, but he has done it to other people, and he's highly connected to the Unified Panther. Is it?
The United Panther movement.
Yes, so this is Tom Watts. Now, he's apparently a very big, important person in this, and it appears that he's been going around blackballing people and doing some other things which are very, very suspicious. So, we do want to talk about that. Now, I was sent some screenshots about a conversation somebody had with Tom Watts, and he essentially defended assimilation by way of Marxist colonialism, using using the internet to do that. Now the internet is going to bring a revolution. Net knows this particular situation better than I do. So do you want to explain?
All right. Well, funny enough, for people who don't know this, Tom Watts is completely middle class. The young gentleman that he's speaking to here is associated with the People's Social Freedom Movement, and the People's Social Freedom Movement does respect Panther groups like Panther Code, the United Panther movement, such, and not really the new Black Panther Party because they're kind of a reactionary group. But you get the idea. The ideas of rainbow coalitions, uniting national groups within this first world prison state against the bourgeoisie. Now, funny enough, logically, this means though that it would mostly be lumpen. One of the things about this young man here is he's actual lumpen proletariat, and the class conscious lumpen proletariat always end up siding with the third world. They always do. That always happens. One of the things they pull from is the Maoist internationalist movement, which, funny enough, people in the Maoist internationalist movement tend to give actually credit to the United Panther movement, but the United Panther movement has not always been so generous, but we're not so sure that this is the work of the United Panther movement. It just might be Tom Watts. Now, the people you're supposed to go through to talk to the United Panther movement is the leadership of the New Africa Black Panther Party, but we're always told, no, go to Tom Watts first. That's what we have all been told. I won't talk to Tom Watts because that's a different story, and it's actually slightly petty, but so that's not the point. But I just won't talk to him. But this guy was talking to him on and off, and in this conversation throughout this whole thing, he's talking about autonomy for groups, and Tom Watts, the middle class guy, is pretty much dismissing everything out of hand. Like everything this guy says, he just dismisses it more and more, and says that the internet is the way forward. And he pretty much argues for a colonial position, and this is I don't know what to say about this, except that it is what it is, and it gets worse, but it's bad.
Okay, so it's strange that the gatekeeper for a Black Panther Party is white.
Yeah, especially when Malcolm X said that only black people could speak for black people, and although he also said though that things will never be okay between black people and white people until the white man and the black man could sit down at the same table and talk to each other properly without offending one another. And the Panthers were about that actually, and the newer, not the new Black Panther Party again, like I said, which is a reactionary group, but Panther groups such as the United Panther Movement, such as Panther Code. Let less people know about Panther Code, but I'm strongly affiliated more with Panther Code. But regardless, such groups, they put that into practice. However, one of the things that should be noted is the middle class has nothing to do with this. In fact, again, in the first world, the only proletariat is lumpen. and you can be a guider. You know, you could give guidance because that's what the old White Panthers did. But the White Panthers were not the lumpen of the whites. The lumpen of the white people, or Euro Americans, whatever, was groups like the Young Patriots and the Southern Patriots, and that's not what Tom Watts is. And Tom Watts is just, I don't know, why do we always have to go to Tom Watts? That's why I don't deal with the United Panther movement, sadly. I'd like to, but you know, because I like the prison organizing thing, but I don't like Tom Watts, and it just gets... I think he's anti-Maoist. And the way that this conversation is going is extremely anti-Maoist. Maoism doesn't work this way.
Yeah, this conversation that you're watching in the screenshots in the video shows really some anti-Maoist sentiment, which is it's I mean, aside from being highly inappropriate, it's also very strange. I do want to make the point that we are not criticizing the Black Panther parties. This isn't that's not what this is about. This is about calling into question the things that Tom Watts is doing. This is calling into question the things that Tom Watts is saying. And that's yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine. A lot of people in Panther coats suspect Tom Watts, and I suspect him of this as well, as ghostwriting for Kevin Rashid Johnson, because like there's an early thing written by Kevin Rashid Johnson that I've heard of, and this is I'm going to totally admit that this is something I heard more. This is more of a secondhand thing, but I heard it from somebody who is much more aware of what's going on in the prison chapters. There's something from Kevin Rashid Johnson that was written by him personally, and then there's an anarchist that interviewed him in prison. And if you can get these two writings, they seem very disconnected from anything currently from Kevin Rashid Johnson. And several people have called out this, saying this looks like Tom Watts' ghostwriting. I mean, why does Tom Watts keep people from talking directly to the prison chapters? There's ways of doing it. I mean, if an anarchist can go in and interview somebody, what do you need Tom Watts for?
Now, I will say that this accusation that Tom Watts is writing under Kevin Rashid's name is something that I've heard before. Now, some of you may remember Prairie Fire, who was the former leader of the LLCO some years ago, and he's passed away since then. He was the one who originally showed me that it seems very likely that Kevin Rashid isn't writing anything, and that it has all been Tom Watts writing under his name. When you look at how Kevin Rashid wrote before he went to prison and how he wrote after he went to prison, it seems very much like there's two different people writing. Now, this isn't a criticism of Kevin Rashid. This is a criticism of Tom Watts fraudulently writing for someone else. Now, of course, we don't have definitive proof of this, but when you compare the writing, it's clearly two different people that are writing. One of them isn't Kevin Rashid, and I'm not the first one to say this. Comrade Net is not the first person to say this. I've heard this before, and it's been something that I suspected for a long time.
Yeah, it's still circulating among Panther Code. In fact, they wrote an entire thing on Pantherism, and they call this out. They show how he is connected to the Liberia Consolidation Party. Tula Jackson, the close associate of Stephen Ague. Stephen Ague, of course, being the one who runs the most important the most important front group for the Liberia Consolidation Party. It's known as the Revolutionary Tendency, which used to work within the Socialist Party USA, and it left because they couldn't control it. And so then they tried to go inside the disastrous Communist Party USA, which is extremely incoherent, and I guess that makes sense that that's where they would go. And this is the kind of dirty dealings that the Revolutionary Tendency does. Well, the interesting thing here is that Tom Watts is close to Tula Jackson, who is very close with um, Stephen Ague. And not only that, Tola Jackson is going along with lines. Tola Jackson is apparently some crazy person I've heard. Like I've heard a lot of conflicting information. I heard one person tell me, "Oh, Tola Jackson is a black woman." I heard another says, "No, it's a white person pretending to be a black woman." I get conflicting things, so I can't tell you for sure who Tola Jackson is. I know more about Stephen Ague, but I do know it's directly connected to Stephen Ague because if you go to the group, for instance, the Revolutionary Tendency, the two admins are Tola Jackson and Stephen Ague. Also in the backup Libria Consolidation Party group, the one that's designed to control anarchists. Yeah, they want to control anarchists. Good luck with that. The one of the admins is Tola Jackson. Well, Tola Jackson is friends with Tom Watts, and Stephen Ague is putting out this propaganda saying that the Black Panther Party was Trotskyist, which is not true. Now, yes, the Black Panthers were not dogmatic, but their template was Mao Zedong thought applied to the urban cities, which is Marxism-Leninism, not Trotskyism. And actually, they had more anarchist influence. In fact, the only time they dropped anarchist influence was when Fred Hampton tried to denounce anarchism because of the Weather Underground. And more updated Panther groups like Panther Code do not denounce anarchism. But the point is giving historical context to that there was actually more anarchist influence in the Panthers than there was anything that was, there was no Trotskyist influence, in other words. That's the point I'm making. They were never Trotskyists. They had anarchist ideas that flowed in, Luxembourg ideas that flowed in. Their template was completely Marxist-Leninist. They just happened to not be dogmatic. It was Marxism-Leninism. And it wasn't just Fred Hampton, like a lot of Trotskyists say, that was that. No, if you read Huey Newton, he said that they were Marxist-Leninist. Eldridge Cleaver alluded to this several times. This is kind of obvious about their whole program. So why would Tom Watts be connected with somebody that's trying to tell people that the Black Panthers were Trotskyist? Now, I'm not trying to diss Trotskyism. I'm just saying that this is one of the reasons why a lot of us would like it if Trotskyists would denounce the Liberty Consolidation Party, because this doesn't help Trotskyism. I mean, there's already Maoists that are denouncing Trotskyism as an entire ideology. I can understand why that's happening. I don't feel comfortable with that because I know that there's Trotskyists that don't go along with this. I mean, even you said you met good Trotskyists before that were anti-imperialist.
Yes.
So, yeah. Where was that again?
I met them at the Hands Off Venezuela rally in Toronto, the one that I attended and did a news report from.
Yes. Okay. We have that at the very end of Hands Off Venezuela, well, part one on our channel, the Bundes Movement channel. So yeah, those were Trotskyists. That's cool. All right. So yeah, and that's what really sucks here is that Trotskyists need to oust the Liberty Consolidation Party, and more people need to be critical of Tom Watts, who is pretty much just he's a trophy. He's a trophy left over from the old Rainbow Coalition. That's why this is allowed to happen, and people need to stop doing that because he's keeping people from talking to the actual leadership of the prison chapter, and which you're supposed to be able to contact. There's no reason why we should go through middle-class white Tom Watts representing lumpen black proletariat in prison. I mean, really, it's odd. It's odd to me. And he can't talk down on the young guy talking to him because okay, he's young, but that young man that he's talking to actually is lumpen proletariat. Actually does struggle with black people. I don't believe Tom Watts struggles with black people. I think he hides behind it. He calls himself apparently a war chief. I just don't buy it. I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all.
So that's the issue that we wanted to bring up because I've heard more than one person say they had been blackballed by Tom Watts on for reasons that were just didn't make sense. So that was just something that I wanted to bring to you guys. It's something I wanted to discuss. It's something I wanted to get out there for other people to see. And that I think that's really important for people to know. Now, do you have anything else that you want to add?
I do want to just maintain that this is nothing against the United Panther movement. I think that what they do is wonderful, and solidarity, everybody.
Okay, so that's what we wanted to say, and thank you for watching.